Hey guys, CDTVthaG here, and the G, of course, stands for Gengar. I feel like I've used that one before, but I really hope I haven't because it works for today. And today, I'm gonna be doing my first album reaction. Since I came back to this channel, I came back a couple of days ago with my reaction to Post Malone's new song. Check that out if you haven't seen it. It's got a great little intro to bring me back. And it's gonna be to Vince Staples' self-titled album, Vince Staples. It's an interesting move for him to drop a self-titled project this late into his career, so I'm really interested to see what he does with it. And we're gonna get into it very shortly, but just real quick before we do, I wanna explain how I feel about Vince Staples because this is the first ever reaction I've done to something that he's made. Vince Staples is an interesting one for me because he has three projects that I would say I really enjoy. Big Fish Theory, FM, and his Stolen Youth mixtape, which was entirely produced by Mac Miller under the pseudonym Larry Fisherman. Now I pretty much love those three projects, Big Fish Theory being my favorite out of all the three, and he's definitely an artist who changes and sort of reshapes his sound with every single project. But the interesting thing is, I don't really love Vince Staples as a rapper all that much. Like, I don't think he's a bad rapper by any means, but there's just something about Vince that even though he has projects that I love, I can't fully connect with him as a rapper. There's just something that I'm not fully sold on him, so that he is one of my favorites. So I'm gonna react to this one, and who knows, maybe this will make it 4 Vince Staples projects that I love. We've got a nice short one here, 10 tracks long, 22 minutes. That is a reactor's dream because I don't think people appreciate how time-consuming album reactions are. It takes a hell of a lot of time. With a 22-minute project, that's gonna make things slightly easier. And I just generally think it's a lot easier to make a shorter album great than it is to make a longer one great. So this is really nice to see. So yeah, I don't think I have anything else to say before we get into it. Vince Staples, by Vince Staples, CDTVthaG reaction. Let's go with the first track, Are You With That? Okay, this sounds like it's gonna be smooth.
So you better buzz. Finna see who really wanted us. Really spilling blood. Everybody tough. Today gotta go and see the judge.
Okay, this is different to most stuff I've heard from Vince. Way more melodic.
Are you with that? I want big racks. I'm gonna flock. I'm gonna stack. Are you with that? Won't forget that.
Oh, I like this. This is really different.
Whenever I miss those days, visit my cribs that lay under the ground, running around.
The lyrics are still dark as hell for something that sounds more lighthearted like this. Ooh, who's that? Ooh, okay. That was over fast. So the first track, Are You With That? That was different from pretty much everything else that I personally have heard from Vince Staples. A lot more melodic, but still staying very true to his usual style of lyrics with just a really dark, cold feeling to them. And even though there was, you know, there weren't many words in the song because it was more singing focused than rapping focused, I still think it said a lot. With the runtime that it had, it sort of described this lifestyle that Vince thought he wanted back in the day. You know, sort of wanting to live this really dangerous life when he was younger before rapping became a thing for him. But then in the second verse, it gets pretty dark, where he grounds it into the reality of things and says that he visits the graves of his friends that died living that life, and it brings him back to reality and makes him think, shit, if I chose that life, like, that's where I could have been. That's where I think the title of the song came from, like saying, are you with that? Like, is that the life you want to choose? Him sort of asking himself that question, or asking his younger self that question. I think it managed to touch on quite a lot for the short length of it, and I don't feel like we've seen too much of that side of Vince before. This was a great opening to this album, and I'm really interested to see where it goes from here. So we're off to a good start. Let's move on to track number 2, Law of Averages. Ooh.
Fuck a friend, I don't want no friends with no open hands. Count my bands all alone at home. Don't you call my phone. Yes, I love you cause you black, but don't love your ass like that. I will put you on a shirt if you fuck me out my racks. You will never catch me slipping out in traffic.
Ooh, I love those high-pitched vocals that are worked into the beat. That's nice.
You will never catch me slipping out in traffic. You will never catch me slipping out in traffic.
Law of Averages, that one was okay. I really liked the instrumental, the way it worked those high-pitched vocals into it. I think that sounded really cool every time it came in. It was just like, ooh, that's nice. That's nice. But in terms of how it all came across as a track, I thought it was a pretty slow one, because Vince's rapping was very low-key on here. Overall, I felt like it was not as gripping to me as the first song. It was still decent, but I didn't love Law of Averages. It wasn't a bad song by any means, but it didn't live up to the first track for me personally. So let's move on to the next one and see what we get with that. Track number 3, Sundown Town.
Yeah.
The production style on this one is nice so far. Definitely got a bit of a deeper, more soulful vibe to it. Every single project, this man gives you something different.
I could die tonight, show the day. I'm finna go get paid down the violent tight. So don't play unless you want your grade. And when I see my fans, I'm too paranoid to shake their hands. Clutching on the blame. Don't know if you forward, if you fam. Tryna run it down, I'm running wild, yeah.
Interesting. If there's one thing I do respect about Vince a lot, it's like I said, that he reinvents his sound and comes with a new sound every single project. This is more mellow and more of sort of a vibe than any other Vince Staples project that I've heard. It's very low-key instrumentally. Like even Vince himself, on all these songs, has sounded just super low-key, quiet. It really feels like so far in these songs he's definitely, you know, going back in time and telling us a story of what things were like before he got into rap and the sort of tough environment that he grew up in and what kind of person that raised him to be. It was also crazy to hear him talk about how when he sees his fans, like, that makes him kind of paranoid because he doesn't know what their intentions are. He said, "When I see my fans, I'm too paranoid to shake their hands, clutching on the blam, don't know if you for, if you fam." And that must be difficult for someone who, on track number 2 here, Law of Averages, described being pretty alone, you know, someone that doesn't have many friends and someone that's pretty isolated. So even when he does leave his house, like, he has that sort of, I guess, fear of running into fans, because I guess that's sort of affected by the environment he grew up in when everyone around you could turn on you at any minute. I can see why it's self-titled, because it really is a look into the mind and the personality of Vince Staples and what shaped him and influenced him into who he is. It's a very revealing project, and I definitely appreciate that a lot. I enjoyed this one too. So let's continue. Let's continue on to track number 4, The Shining.
Don't get murdered. Yeah, little niggas out here with no purpose, loaded lurking. I cannot be perturbed. I live by every word. I put this on my verse. I could be gone in the blink. I don't wanna leave.
That sort of like nasally melodic voice is going for here. It gives me like a Kendrick vibe almost.
We dying broke, live with broken hearts. Let's go.
And there we continued it again with the very revealing lyrics. I think every song on this so far has mentioned death or like Vince Staples feeling like he could die at any minute. It shows what shaped that nihilistic attitude that he shows on a lot of his other projects. He's always been someone that has this cynical outlook on life, and this really shows where it comes from. Just that feeling of growing up in a dangerous place and feeling like you could die at any minute, and that feeling sort of sticking with you. It's a very dark thing. In terms of the sound of this album, it's something I'm a bit back and forth on. I feel like this is a project I need to listen to when I'm really in the mood for something a bit slower and a bit more mellow, because I didn't know that was what this was going to be when I went into it. So right now I'm kind of trying to figure out if I think these tracks from a sound perspective are a little dull to me or not. As you guys all know, first reactions are not 100% what my final thoughts on this project are going to be, and this is one I'm definitely going to need to listen to you know, a few more times off camera to fully form my thoughts and opinions. No matter what, I think this is a really cool thing that he's doing, putting it all sort of on the table here. He's talking about a life on here that I can't relate to, that I've never been through, but hearing other people's stories is still a powerful thing. And that's the thing about rap music. It can show you into a world that you've never experienced before, which is definitely the case for me, which is one of the reasons why I appreciate it so much. It gives you a window into other people's lives, and Vince has given us a very wide window here. So let's keep going. Track number 5, Taking Trips. Ooh. Okay. This one has a bit more bounce to it than everything so far.
I hate July. Crime is high, the summer suck. Can't even hit the beach without my heat. It's in my trunks. Pull up location is the belly of the beach.
I love that sound in the background. I don't know what that is, but like the main melody on the beat, that sounds so cool.
I knew I was doing the wrong thing, but I guess it was more important to be accepted by the guys than anything else.
Okay, that was cool. That was cool. That one was definitely the bounciest track on this so far, and I think it's perfectly placed on the album because the first 4 were a bit slower in terms of their pace, and then this one was, again, still very consistent with the album, still very low-key, but it had a bit more bounce to it, and it's sort of like a perfect midway point of the project that sort of, you know, brings you back up for a bit before we go into the next section, and we'll see what the next half is like, but I think this seems like it was perfectly placed. I loved that. I really like that. Quidditch catching snitches. The Harry Potter bar, that was nice. And one bar in this song in particular reminded me of FM, the one where he said, I hate July, crime is high, the summer sucks, can't even hit the beach without my heat, it's in my trunks. That just reminds me of Feels Like Summer from FM, which, like I said earlier on in this video, if I didn't cut that part out, it was a track that had this really sort of upbeat summery sound to it with this great Ty Dolla $ign hook, but in the verses, Vince was talking about, oh, it's summer, we're gonna party till the sun or the guns come out, like basically saying that this thing that a lot of people think is a very happy time, a very vibrant time where you go out, you have a good time, you hit up the beaches and stuff, is a time where the crime rate is even higher where he's at. So summer almost has this negative connotation, and here he dove into that a little bit more. There was also a little snippet in here that talked about sort of peer pressure, basically. It's just another thing that showed one of the influences he had around him, one of the things that shaped who he is. I really like what he's doing with this project. So let's move on to the next one, going into the second half of the album. Track number 6, The Apple in the Tree.
I don't know. Like I told Nicole, I said, hey, I done got him with the stand for Trump.
Okay, wait, I think this one's gonna be a bit more of an interlude, so I'm gonna look over here and I'm gonna read along with this one as we go through it so I can follow what's being said.
What? I don't care what you want. You did.
Okay, so I didn't really know what was going on with this track, but I read the description on Genius here, which is not something I always do for these songs, but if I'm trying to figure out what's going on, you know, I might as well know what's happening. And apparently this is an audio clip of Vince's mother describing lying on the stand to defend his father, and furthermore seeking out the person whom Vince's father was convicted for attempting to murder. It basically shows, you know, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, the same way that she is the way that Vince is, that he doesn't play about his family, basically. So that was like a little interlude, and up next we've got track number 7, Take Me Home.
Yeah. I don't wanna die, but I will for the car. Following my
There's a mention of his death again.
Tell me what I did now, drying off your tears now, fighting for some years now, something gotta give.
Take me home like I clicked my shoes. Ooh, only abide by my rules.
I'm on PCH going south, blower on the seat.
Take me home like I clicked my shoes.
Is that a Wizard of Oz reference? That is nice. Wow, as much as this project is showing Vince's versatility, it's also showing the versatility from Kenny Beats. I'm not too sure, but I don't think I've heard many instrumentals from him that sound like the stuff across this project. And I really like it. I think Kenny Beats has done a great job on here, and all the other producers that have been featured throughout it. This was another one that was just a chill, laid-back vibe with very dark lyrics again. I don't know what else to really say about this one. We're just being let into Vince's world all throughout this, and I think this was another really nice track. It's been a really cohesive album so far. Let's keep going through it. We're nearing the end of this now, and I'm liking the length of this project. It doesn't, for what it is, 22 minutes long, 10 tracks, it hasn't felt like it's too short so far. I actually feel like it's just the perfect length for what he's doing with it. So yeah, track number 8, LIL FADE. That laugh is starting to sound like a kettle boiling.
Really what I rap about, find out. Know the city mine now. Best stay with it, no I can't play with it. So with it, tell me if it's up, bitch. Walk cars, homies on the 4-yard, running up the scorecard.
That one, on this listen, I didn't really care for that track. I felt like that one did have a bit more of a bounce to the drum beat, but it was another one of those ones that I just felt like was kind of slow, and I couldn't really get into it. And this one, from what I heard with the lyrics, it didn't grip me as much as the other tracks. That's, on this listen, one of my least favorite ones on here, personally. So let's move on to the next one. Second last track on this album, and I think this one is an interlude too, because it's just over a minute long. Track number 9, Lakewood Mall.
Damn, niggas go to this little party, and it's like, nah, I'm cool. Niggas go shake, go home. They get booked. 2 bodies, crazy. Allegedly though, moral of this whole story, nigga gotta think ahead, which a nigga always have. You gotta separate yourself from bullshit.
That interlude there seems to represent one of the big themes on the album, which is sort of like, in the life that Vince was living, he had to make the right choices. It's just another theme of that sort of paranoia that you could be living with because of this upbringing and this environment. So let's move on to the final track on Vince Staples, track number 10,
Come get a body, 30 deep on Poppy. Police won't stop me, that's on Johnny, come and find me. It's been a minute since I've been up in the trenches. Soft and cherry, you get scary by that church's chicken. Turn it on his headstone, homies call me rich cuz. Flip cuz, candles cuz they miss cuz. Know what it is cuz. Dog ways, baby.
That hook is slick, I like that.
I was at Ramona with the mask. Folk Corona knew the streets was over, wash my hands. Full of vulture.
So yeah, that was a nice song to close it out. I really like the hook on that one. The whole thing was pretty catchy. Again, I don't really have a whole lot to say about the song in particular, but I thought it sounded nice. Same themes and content throughout most of the album, so yeah. Although I do want to say I like the lyrics in verse 2. Before Corona, I was at Ramona with the mask. Before Corona, knew the streets was over, washed my hands. That was a nice little way to put that. So yeah, let's just get into my overall thoughts on this new self-titled project by Vince Staples. This was an interesting one. Like I said, at around the midway point of it, it's something I'm going to need a couple more listens to see if I feel like this is a really, really good album or a fairly good album that is a bit too low-key for me to get into it. Because for the most part, everything here was a bit slower, the beats were a bit more toned down, with the exception of maybe, I think it was like Taking Trips, which had a bit more of an upbeat vibe to it. In a sense, like it was a bit more bouncy, not necessarily upbeat. As I said throughout it too, I can see why this is a self-titled project. It really sort of dove into Vince's brain and give us a look at the world through his eyes, which is something that he hasn't really done in this way on a project that I've heard from him before. It was more personal, more introspective, and that's something I really respect about this project. But in terms of the sound, need a few more listens to pick it apart. Those few listens are gonna make the difference between this ranking at like an A on a tier list from S to D and like a B. You know, I'm not too sure where I'd put this right now. So real quick, let's, as we always do, go through my favorite and least favorite tracks from my first listen here. I think I would say my favorites off of this first listen were Are You With That, Sundown Town, Taking Trips, and Take Me Home. I would say those are my favorite. That's 4 out of the 8 tracks here that are actual songs, so not bad at all. As for my least favorites on this project, I would probably say Law of Averages and LIL FADE. Those are the ones that I was the least engaged with on this project. Those are the ones that I personally found to be sort of boring from a sound perspective, but that's just how I feel about those ones. So yeah, I think basically to sum it up, I like the lyrics, I like the direction that Vince took this in with the content. In terms of the sound, that's something I'm going to need a few more listens to figure out if I like it or if I find it a bit dull on quite a few of the tracks. It didn't overstay its welcome. It was only 22 minutes long, so maybe listening to this outside of a reaction setting, it will flow together pretty quickly and it will make me appreciate the album a bit more. We will see how I feel after more listens, and my twin CDTV Productions is planning on making a video at the end of this year doing a tier list for every single album he listened to in 2021 that is a 2021 rap album. So yeah, go subscribe to his channel, and at the end of the year he'll do that, and I guess you'll see after some time how we feel about this project, because as always, we're not the same person, but we do have the exact same opinions. It's just a crazy coincidence like that. But once again, I do respect that Vince gave us something different yet again with this project. It didn't sound like FM, it didn't sound like Big Fish Theory, and from what I remember, I don't think this sounded like Stolen Youth either, which I think is an underrated project from Vince. Listen to Stolen Youth if you haven't heard it, because I think that's a really good one. So that is what I think of the project Vince Staples by Vince Staples, but what did you guys think about it? Let me know down in the comments below. Let me know what your favorite and least favorite tracks are, and I hope you guys enjoyed this first album reaction that I've done after coming back from 7 months away. Leave a like, of course, if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you want to see more reactions in the future, and that's all I've got to say for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you all in the next one, and this is CDTVthaG signing out.